Let's say your boss offered you an easier way to log onto your computer in the morning or bypass having to get change for the vending machine or even get through a secure door by having a microchip planted in your hand. Anyone? Yes? Anyone? No! Yeah, well, it's apparently happening and not everybody's happy about the idea.
President Trump's son-in-law has a 41-story size problem at 666 Fifth Avenue. Jared Kushner's company still holds half of the $1.2 billion mortgage and hasn't paid a cent, forcing the Kushners to look overseas for investors.
.666 Fifth Avenue, a prime piece of New York City's skyline, just 6 blocks from Central Park. Jared Kushner decided to make it his trophy in 2007.
This was the deal that put Jared on the map. I think every dynasty wants to own a piece of Manhattan.
To get the seller's attention, Kushner offered a big price, $1.8 billion, a record at the time. And the 26-year-old CEO of Kushner Companies borrowed aggressively to get the deal done.
They paid a peak price. Prices for real estate were especially inflated at the time.
Those prices tanked shortly after the purchase as the financial crisis set in. The entire deal was a miscalculation.
They'd absolutely paid too much at the time. He bought at the very top of the market. So then the market turned. You're not going to get the rent appreciation that you're probably projecting in '07.
To raise cash, the Kushners sold off some of the building's retail space and later had to bring in a partner. After the deal with the Chinese company fell through, the Kushners told us that they were talking to other bidders, but they wouldn't say who, and analysts aren't counting the Kushners out.
Turkish official is telling the Associated Press, and we have just received this, police have found evidence missing writer Jamal Khashoggi was killed inside the Saudi consulate. All of this as Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is in Saudi Arabia meeting with the prince and the king over Khashoggi's disappearance.
U.S. intelligence officials have concluded that Saudi Arabia's crown prince was behind the journalist's killing.
There's a lot of money that wants into New York and that will pay prices that some people will view as wow, that's unreal.
Jared Kushner sold his stake in the building to avoid the obvious conflict of interest. The family, after all, might have to take foreign money to make the deal profitable. But Kushner's proximity to power might also help attract that money.
You have someone connected to the president, right? That could bring in lenders, that could bring in a foreign partner that might be interested in getting an audience with Trump.
Nobody's concluded. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to conclude that the crown prince did it, but I will say this, I don't know. I don't know. But whether he did or whether he didn't, he denies it vehemently. His father denies it, the king, vehemently. The CIA doesn't say they did it. They do point out certain things, and in pointing out those things, you can conclude that maybe he did or maybe he didn't. Saudi Arabia is tremendously helpful in the Middle East. If we didn't have Saudi Arabia, we wouldn't have a big base. We wouldn't have any reason, probably. I mean, if you look at Israel, Israel would be in big trouble without Saudi Arabia. So what does that mean? Israel's going to leave? You want Israel to leave? We have a very strong ally in Saudi Arabia. We have an ally that said they did not commit at the top level, the crown prince, the king. They did not commit this atrocity, and it's an atrocity. It's a terrible thing. I dislike it more than you do. Okay?
Who should be held accountable?
Maybe the world should be held accountable, because the world is a vicious place. The world is a very, very vicious place. Number 8, we will finally complete the biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. For years, Congress has required biometric entry-exit visa tracking systems, but it has never been completed. The politicians are all talk, no action, never happens, never happens. Hillary Clinton, all talk. Unfortunately, when there is action, it's always the wrong decision. Do you ever notice? In my administration, we will ensure that this system is in place. And I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system.
The White House hosted a group of more than 40 Silicon Valley heavyweights and other major business leaders in the United States in an effort to plot a course forward on American development of artificial intelligence. The Trump administration on Thursday announcing it is establishing a panel of federal officials to focus on AI issues and work with the private sector, in part to keep up with the growing competition from China. The meeting comes as welcome news to tech firms, while many in the U.S. are urging President Donald Trump to improve his frosty relationship with leaders of Silicon Valley. A great deal is at stake. Indeed, the future of many industries that include driverless vehicles, biometric identification, and robotics. Indeed, the future of many industries that include driverless vehicles, biometric identification, and robotics. Indeed, the future of many industries that include driverless vehicles, biometric identification, and robotics.
You know, if you go out and you want to buy groceries, you need a picture on a card. You need ID. You go out and you want to buy anything, you need ID and you need your picture.
Implanting microchips in its employees, in the skin of their hands.
The latest office innovation is a microchip implanted in the skin.
This is the first American company to ever try this.
Mr. Trump defended Kushner in this statement to the New York Times, saying, quote, "Jared is doing a great job for the country. I have total confidence in him."
I have determined that it is time to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
He was cautioned not to do it by advisors and world leaders alike, but today President Trump insisted 22 years of doing the same thing in Israel has yielded nothing in terms of peace, so he is going to shake it up.
Last year, President Trump announced to the world that the United States would finally recognize the truth, that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel.
U.S. President Donald Trump's son-in-law / advisor Jared Kushner was in Jerusalem and the Palestinian territories on Wednesday in an attempt to breathe new life into a long comatose peace process between the Palestinians and Israelis. Kushner met in Jerusalem with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for several hours. Following that meeting, he traveled to the West Bank city of Ramallah, where he met with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. The leaders on all sides and Kushner did not deliver any statements following those meetings. They did not give any indication of progress in their talks. U.S. President Trump has long said that he believes he could create, quote unquote, an amazing peace process between the two sides. However, no details of what that process entails have been released.
After you declared, Mr. President, Jerusalem as Israel's capital, and this was a historic proclamation, followed by your bold decision to move the embassy by our upcoming National Independence Day. I want to tell you that the Jewish people have a long memory. So we remember the proclamation of the great king, Cyrus the Great, Persian king, 2,500 years ago.
President Trump's first trip abroad placed him at the Vatican today, marking Mr. Trump's first meeting with the leader of the Catholic Church.
Next to the White House tonight, President Trump raising new questions this evening after what he said during a photo op, summoning reporters, telling them this was the calm before the storm.
And hinted at some sort of oncoming storm.
During a photo op in the White House dining room, President Trump made this puzzling comment.
You guys know what this represents? Well, maybe it's the calm before the storm.
Pretty disturbing comment, while surrounded, of course, by his military leaders, Secretary of Defense, National Security Advisor, all of his generals.
I share the question that was raised in that room, Margaret. What storm is the president referring to?
The White House is refusing to clarify what the president meant, and if you play out that full tape, you had reporters repeatedly say to the president, "Sir, what storm? Which storm?" What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
But he says, we'll see.
At the busiest airport in the world, Terminal F check-in is now as simple as look, smile, and click.
Found you real fast.
Delta's outbound international passengers no longer required to scan their passports or carry a ticket.
It's pretty simple. You walk up to the kiosk, tap facial recognition, the camera recognizes your face from your passport photo already on file and checks you in. When you check a bag, no need for a passport or a ticket. The camera recognizes your face again. By early next year, your face will be your boarding pass for TSA. Same process for boarding a flight. Facial recognition, and I'm on the plane.
Nobody wants to stand in line any extra time, so anything that's going to speed it up is going to be great.
Homeland Security already uses the cameras for international passengers, scanning their faces.
How far apart your eyes, your ears, your chin, your mouth.
Boasting 98% accuracy. Now, Delta is bringing facial recognition to the entire check-in process.
You don't have to fumble for your ID, wait for somebody to read it, and it saves you wait times at the airport.
Next, Delta's international Detroit flights, and maybe domestic flights within 2 years. But in Atlanta,
super easy.
The future is here.
What it is they're using tattoos, and as we all know, they've been conditioning the masses to want tattoos, to making tattoos cool, even though tattoos are a form of bloodletting. They've made the masses just, everybody out there is just getting tattoos. It's something that isn't taboo to talk about anymore. Almost everybody has it. It's almost taboo not to have tattoos. But what they're doing is they're using this electronic skin tattoo as a form of conditioning for the microchip, for the potential mark of the beast. It's a wireless communication device. And what this one specifically is that YouTube is now pushing, or at least promoting and putting in their trending section, is the scratch-on tattoo. So it's a fake tattoo that they're using to get people, to get kids, to get the youth out there, 12-year-olds, 15-year-olds, the ones that they're targeting to get this tattoo, which they can use as a wireless device for wireless communication, for touch sensing, so they can touch the tattoo, the fake tattoo on their wrist. They can control their computer screen. They can control their phone. It's actually, like I said, it's a scratch-on version of a tattoo. So they're targeting young kids into getting this and using it as a way to control their mobile devices, to control their television, control their computer monitor. Some of these fake tattoos, these electronic skin tattoos, even have the capability to store data in them. As you can see from some of these images, you can buy and download movie tickets on your wrist with this electronic tattoo, with this fake tattoo. So what they do is you put your phone up to it, you can download the tickets in your wrist, you can go to the movie theater and use your wrist as a form of, getting into the movie theater, because the tickets themselves and the barcode is downloaded into this scratch-on tattoo. So in this video, they go on to talk about and condition people into thinking how it's not taboo anymore to talk about, electronics on your body, electronic markings on your body. They say it once was taboo, but now with science fiction and all of this stuff, because they've used science fiction, they've used the media to condition people into thinking that this is safe, that this is the future, that you're not going to need a wallet anymore, that you'll have a tattoo or a mark, or this is obviously conditioning for what could be under the skin and inside of the body. and under the skin. And then they'll have the electronic currency, and then people won't need credit cards anymore. They won't need cash. We'll have a cashless society, which they're already pushing. I did a video on PayPal. You know, the commercial they aired during the Super Bowl, deliberately put during the Super Bowl, of course, to get people prepared for not needing cash anymore. They were just pushing it, saying, why need cash anymore? We can have a cashless society. We can have an electronic currency. You know, we don't need to carry around wallets. We don't need to have this stuff. Obviously, this is getting pushed towards and geared towards the millennials. They're the ones who are already testing this out and trying this technology, you know, having themselves microchips so they don't have to carry wallets around because it's such a burden to carry a wallet around. And then they have this scratch-on tattoo, which people are actually getting real tattoos put on that have this capability. That technology is already out there. But the reason I'm doing this video is because these are the scratch-on tattoos. This is targeting young kids, 10-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 12-year-olds. You know, young kids who are obviously technologically advanced, because these kids at such a young age are given iPhones, they're given iPads at 7, 6 years old. You see 6-year-olds walking around with iPads. You know, they're more technologically advanced than people in their 40s or 50s this day and age. So these kids are already getting pushed with technology. And then their parents, obviously, they're going to say, look, I got this, you know, scratch-on decal tattoo on the boardwalk or wherever they went and got it. The parents won't think for 1 second that it's conditioning for the mark of the beast. The parents will just say, oh, how cool. You can control your phone from your wrist by touching it like a dial pad, like you're on Star Trek or you're in Star Wars. And that's exactly how this video plays out. They use, you know, science fiction as a way to say, listen, it's not taboo anymore to talk about getting this type of technology on your body, in your flesh, in your skin. It once was taboo. It's not anymore, because they're conditioning everybody out there with this stuff. They're conditioning people to be okay with it. And like I've said over and over, what they're going to do is they're going to roll out these celebrities. They're going to roll out Beyonce and Rihanna and the Kardashians and all of these false idols that the people worship. They're going to see them have it. They're going to show them casually on reality shows, going to the store and just swiping their hand. You know, oh, they don't need credit cards. They don't need anything. They can just go and check out of the store just simply by scanning their wrist, right? And then they'll use fear and they'll say, you don't have to worry about your identity getting stolen anymore, which is part of this whole hacking thing that we've heard about for years. Oh, hacking, and people are stealing other people's identification. I'm not saying that it hasn't happened and it's not real, that people don't do that kind of stuff, but they can easily use that, and they will use that as a fear ploy to tell people, listen, when you have this microchip, you don't have to worry about your social security getting stolen. You don't have to worry about somebody robbing or taking your money, because everything will be electronically in your DNA and in your flesh. And that's exactly what this is. This is conditioning for the youth out there. They're starting them off with these scratch-on tattoos where they, you know, they're limited in what they can do, of course, but it's something where they can access their phones with it. They can, you know, actually control their television screens or their computer screens. They can download things into this scratch-on tattoo. They can download movie tickets. Who knows what other capabilities it has, but obviously it has the same capabilities as if, you know, you're using your phone and using the barcode technology on your phone, where you could take a picture, you know, of one of those barcode things and it can download, you know, movie tickets and all that. Now it's on the skin. Okay, and the reason that I'm doing this video again is because we've heard about tattoos and things like that, you know, the microchip tattoo. We've heard about the microchip under the skin, the microchip in the hand and the wrist. Now we're hearing about this, which is conditioning for the youth out there. So young kids will have this, and by the time they hit 16, 17, 18 years old, they'll already have had the scratch-on decal tattoo, and they'll say, oh, it was fun, you know? Oh, it was no big deal. It was cool while it was there, and now, oh, it's advanced so much. You could do so much more with it. And these young kids out there are going to go along with this stuff, with getting the mark of the beast, getting the microchip, if that is indeed the mark of the beast. I believe that it is. Some people believe it's not. You know, everybody's entitled to their own opinion on what it is. Okay, I'm not getting anything put in my flesh, I'll tell you that right now, at all. Any computer technology, nothing. Like I've said over and over, they'll find me in the woods first before they find me getting that crap put in my body. But this is just conditioning for it. So I wanted to point out, because YouTube's promoting it. They're showing it like it's cool and it's hip. Like I said, they're using science fiction as always, as they use the movies and the science fiction that they've conditioned the masses with to say, oh, it's like Star Trek, but now it's not taboo anymore because we've seen it over and over in all these movies. Don't be afraid to get it. And they're trying it out on the youth, because obviously I don't think you're going to see a 30-year-old or 40-year-old at work with one of these fake scratch-on tattoos on his wrist. He might get beat up. If he does, I mean, I don't know if he gets beat up or not, but it's pretty embarrassing if you're a grown man walking around with this, you know, this cheesy little scratch-on tattoo. But obviously a young kid, right? No big deal. You get it on your wrist, you play around with your phone and stuff like that, and you're conditioned for what is to come in the future. And that's what this is all about. So YouTube, of course, promoting it. Somehow something like this, which shouldn't be viral, they make viral. Like I've said over and over, they push these things in the trending section. Obviously, if you go through it, I did a video on it one night. You go through it, it's just every agenda you could possibly imagine in there. The gay agenda gets pushed, the homosexual, transgender agendas. You see the stuff with Hillary and her illness in there. You see the race war propaganda pushed in there. And then, of course, you see the musicians that they want to push, and their videos are filled with satanic symbolism, like Bon Iver, whatever his name is, and his video that had nothing but Freemason imagery in it. Or these other guys you've never heard of. You say, why would they be trending? Well, because YouTube is pushing and promoting these satanic agendas, these Illuminati agendas, and this is one of them, the conditioning for the microchipping of society, which I believe is the mark of the beast, and that's what this scratch-on tattoo is for. It's for the youth out there to get them prepared for that generation and the generation underneath it to be prepared to accept this. So YouTube, again, promoting this nonsense. It's just garbage, absolute filth, as they continue to desensitize everybody and condition them for this satanic agenda and the ushering in of the Antichrist. It's unbelievable, it really is. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you. May peace be with you.